they have till the end of March, correct?
Our license expires at
Yeah,
31st of March.
License expires the 31st of March.
Everybody's does.
Everybody's does. You were temporarily suspended this afternoon.
Yep.
And you have 10 days to respond back to some information.
Yes.
And I would suggest that you get that information.
And we've been in close contact with Doug and so.
So once I get the blessing from Dr. Dukes and Doug and email, I will do my best to enter all the stuff in ESO based off of the paperwork that we have to get called up. And then I assume going forward, then Mike's gonna, like he said, make sure everybody enters as soon as they get back to the building. Now, I don't know, what was that, a Q&A report you said, and I don't know what that is.
Claudia, so.
Okay, so I need to ask him if that's something I can help with or not, since I'm not an EMT. I don't know if it is, as the role of transcriptionist, whatever that. I don't know if that's something I can help with or not, but I think that's something they are still waiting for one from us. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, 1 minute, that was,
Excuse me?
the Q&A, well, February.
Well, we're on
Yeah.
monthly, we've done one for January, we're on monthly now.
Of course, February meeting is involved, so.
So this is new to me to some degree, but the EMS cost recovery side of things, not an issue because these weren't calls that actually were run to the hospital kind of thing.
Well, you guys got money for, essentially, the
Yeah.
breakdown of money that you see.
And then ultimately, who is, the buck stops here on the reporting process. They weren't entered in the past, now we're gonna get them in there. Who's gonna check on a regular basis to make sure this is happening so you don't get to this problem?
Either myself, Beth, or Swana.
The buck stops with the chief, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is what stopped with you.
Yes.
Who are your EMTs now, Michael?
Myself, Beth, which she's not released yet, and Hunter Audible.
So, how much is Hunter running?
I know he's a dispatcher over in Culpeper County. It all depends on his work schedule.
The only reason I ask is because basically then it'll just be you, Beth, and whatever Hunter runs will be doing your reports,
Right.
or required to do a report.
It should be easy to keep track of those.
Yeah.
Until you
Mine is
run.
supposed to be passed, just stuff that hasn't been done.
Right.
Right. Now, I did enroll in, because there's nothing in the county, I did enroll in an EMT class in Faulkner County with a graduation date of August 13th.
Thank you.
Yes. So today was the day that they, if they had open slots, they opened it up to surrounding counties, so. Yes.
When do they start? I'm sorry, when do they start?
It starts, I think, the third week in May.
It's a spring course from.
So they also offered it in Culpeper County. The Alvin County tuition for Fauquier was $750 versus, I believe, $2,500 for Culpeper, so the Fauquier one was much better.
That's really nice.
Which is an operational expense that the county will support, and we're very happy to support that kind of training to expand the EMTs. I hope you understand kind of the perspective on this side where I've seen and sit down with multiple different groups of people from Company 4 over time who've all been positioned to get it straight. And this is the newest, latest group of people that are going to get it straight. So while we are hopeful that he will get it straight, there's some cautious optimism there.
And we're gonna get it straight. It's gonna take us a while, but we're gonna work on it, we're gonna get it all back.
I tell you what, man, you said you worked with, company for a while, I know you have, when I was in chief, but, we had wrote, 2 other letters other than this one, asking the association for help, which we got nothing, we never heard anything from nobody.
Well, I
This
know-
is the first time, we ever got any help, asked, when Sean came to the meeting, he told us to write another letter, so we did.
I do think you've received help over time. I know multiple people have visited your station to try to transfer knowledge all they can. Help can come in a lot of different ways, and the county has not placed paid staff in your station. I can confirm that, and that's not a model that we're really in right now. So, if that's the help you need, I wouldn't count on it happening anytime soon. Our volunteer community is very strong, we wanted it to be that way. We are having a chase vehicle, which was recommended by the association, passed through the Public Safety Committee onto the board, and the board authorized us to move forward with that. But there's been authorization to, place staff in stations right now to support or supplement what you're able to do.
Yeah, you brought that up, the meeting with O'Shawn's, and I've never seen that.
Well, we had one today, I found the letter today, when we submitted January 3rd of 2019. I know Harold Bebop was in there at one time, and we submitted a letter to him.
That would've been Harold at that point.
I don't ever remember his secretary having received it.
I don't know if whatever happened to them, or they never was brought up at the association, as long as I went to the association either, but,
Also, we gave Debbie Donahue a email, and I think,
I think I was copied on that.
yeah, Gary through, and I think Sean got a copy of it.
Probably Kevin.
You gave me, it was Kevin.
Probably
I asked for it after the October, you said during the October Public Safety Committee meeting, you requested.
About housing P staff in our station and using one of our spare ambulances for that specific call. And
Well,
I mean, the only thing is, you know, we've been asking for help. We wrote letters, the whole 9 yards, and we never received nothing until now. I mean, thank you, Sean, for bringing this up. But,
But I think, Company One just said the DECO is served.
Yeah.
That's the sort of help that we would like to see, the association, companies helping companies
but
with
what we're,
that information.
our main concern is helping the community also.
Sure.
So that's our main goal. I mean, if we don't have the volunteers, Point Hill can't run. Look at, I hate to say this, cause I know this is gonna get back. Look at Chester Gap. They got paid people. If it wasn't for the paid people, they'd be in the same road as Point Hill.
Yeah, if Flint Hill were on the border with Warren and had the same scenario come up, then
But
probably would have been the beneficiary of, the citizens in your area would be the beneficiary, and they are.
But the thing, way I see that is, they run majority of their calls in one. Alright, we're central, pretty much central to Rappahannock, us or Little Washington. We're second view in Amosville, we're second view into Little Washington, third view into Sprayville. We're pretty much central. And,
Well, it's $300,000 cost for what's happening at Chester Gap right now. If you wanna make a request to the Board of Supervisors to allocate $300,000 to your company to make that happen, and you're gonna have the administrative support to manage those volunteers, make the request. But I don't believe your organization in its current state could manage that kind of operation. And I highly doubt your board is gonna invest $300,000 on that side of the county. Right now, it's split with Warren County.
I understand.
and the money coming from the COVID,
No,
not coming from, the COVID?
no,
It was coming after COVID,
for
wasn't
the first 6 months or so. From CARES Act.
I do feel like when I first got on the board, Dave Gerald and I spent a considerable amount of time trying to help on the fire levy board side of things, trying to make sure the paperwork was done and the invoices were there, and you started getting some processes in place that you didn't have 2 years ago. So I think you're showing that you're learning and you're moving forward with the information you're gathering. The problem is, and unfortunately it's in the volunteer world, the people that were your treasurer, I mean, you probably moved to 4 treasurers in my 2 years on the board. And trying to get a handle of really the process and policy and all that stuff is very difficult when that person changes on a regular basis. So, the more solid volunteers that you can find that are gonna be here for a long time, that's the best thing that I see in the other volunteer companies as well. It's the people that are, the 6 people that run all the calls, or whatever number it is, they're the ones that really know what's going on in the building and can help out consistently. The lack of consistency is not helping, and it's not your fault, it's just the volunteer situation.
We've been, the Board of Supervisors through the fire levy pays for audits every other year for each company. Flint Hill's been on an annual basis, and there's only one company out of 7 who have not had clean audits for the last 2 years. And it's just a big leap for the board and the community to invest dollars in a company that doesn't have a clean audit.
And
That'll
I just will follow up, we had a letter from Harold B. Bell to the county when he was the president of the association in 2020 of the same deficiencies, the exact same deficiencies. We sent a Saturday morning, when your father was the chief, about firefighters falsifying a state firefighter certificate.
That was in the past and that is taken care of, so that's,
I'm just saying,
yeah,
this, we're adding up. And then we had another bad audit. And then we had this coming down the road again with the Office of EMS with the surprise inspection. And not only that, with video that was sent from Parade in Flint Hill, the same type of driving instances going on with these members. And I realize we've had this discussion about those members being gone as well, but it seems like these things are trending every 8 to 10 months, and they're the same issues that are trending. And as Mr. Curry stated, you haven't had 2 clean audits. And I'm not trying to drop the ball on you, I appreciate you guys trying to get it together, but where does it come to an end, is my question. Where does it come to an end? You signed a service agreement.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ms. Huff signed it as a president, your father signed as a chief. Page 7, paragraph 44, it says, "The emergency service coordinator along with myself shall make you guys remain capable." How can I sit here today, Mikey, and say you guys are capable? You're getting company money, county money, the customer's money, which is the taxpayers in this county. And then if you go to paragraph 50, it says, "The company shall have control of its operations." Where is the control? When is control going to be made or taken?
Control is going to be made. We have
I'm
a
just
slate of
saying-
new officers.
I'm just saying, I don't mean to sound this way, it may sound harsh, but at some point it's got to stop, or I will recommend it to go to the board of supervisors for action. Because it's my taxpaying dollars, just like it is everyone's that's sitting in this room. And it's not fair to the citizens of this county.
It's not. And the last couple of years, we have had a big turnover. And I think going forward, we have a slate of new officers. And we're gonna do our best to bring it back up. And he's my son, and I am hard on him, and he knows it. And I know a lot of people think he's my son, I'm gonna be lenient with him, but I'm not, and he knows that. And I've got on him for these reports that haven't been done. I didn't know anything about all this. This is my first year as an officer. And I'm gonna make sure that things are done. It's not gonna slip through the wayside like it did before. I'm not putting up with it. So,
I'm just saying, it needs to be taken care of,
it is gonna be taken care of.
because I got 2 more emails this afternoon, Mr. Coulter and I both did. I asked Mike if he'd seen it, I think you should take notice to the first one that was sent. Because it might be some more that comes out of it, comes from all CMS in this, and it may go to another local jurisdiction if anything comes out of it.
I know
So
there's
when
some
do you-
things that have been sent out.
So when do you all think, when can you all let the board know and the association know? It's my hopes you guys can pull out of it, but when do you think that you can, when do you think you'll get to see daylight?
Hopefully, praying this month, once we get everything straight and get our acting gear,
We meet quarterly, public
That's
safety
what I'm
committee meeting, so
you know.
I think it's reasonable for us to, sitting as this committee, take the temperature of the company again in the next quarter, and the opportunity is there for you to come in and show the public safety committee, the positive direction that's been taken and how the great strides that have been made in 3 months from now.
Next meeting is on the first Tuesday in June.
All I ask is be the best, and be the best Clarksville that you ever desire to be.
So, Mr. Nick, was that a motion to table this until the June PSC
I'll take
meeting?
it to the June meeting,
Mr. Nick made a motion to table to the June PSC meeting.
but
I'm
I'd
sorry.
also like to add into that, though, if we get any more complaints or anything else come from the Office of Emergency Services, where they have still not been compliant, we call an emergency meeting of this body to review it, so we can get things moving.
Okay, sir.
Did we have a second on that?
I haven't done that for you. He amended his initial motion. I'm trying to catch up on my.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Don made a second. Any discussion? Mr. Frazier, I apologize. Did you have anything you wanted to say, sir?
No, I've seen some of this traffic over the years, but I just wanna suggest, especially since I still got an email that I sent myself, my personal email to my county email, it's going on 2.5 years, I still haven't received it. So maybe we gotta make sure that when we send emails, we request receipt, just to back up, because you never know,
Okay, sir.
it happens.
So no further discussion, motion on the floor to table to the June meeting, unless additional information is received, which point in time we'll do an emergency PSC meeting. All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries to table to June. PSC quarterly data review. I uploaded, the past 6 months' data. I did bring copies if anybody needs it. What I would like you to do is take a copy and pass it down. Then what I'm also passing out is kind of a new format, that we're using. The chiefs, received this, the new format the chiefs received, earlier this week, last week. But what I wanted to try to start doing with Public Safety Committee is just reviewing, quarterly call data. Oh, go ahead.
Let me back up 50,000 foot level, and going back a couple meetings, there's a lot of discussion about, we don't know, we don't have data, we don't know what's happening, we don't know anything. And we had a lot of conversations about how can we get data out of CAD and know what's happening. And so Sean has done a lot of work with Lieutenant Jenkins to try to get the data out of CAD the best we can and get it into a format that's digestible. And I think we'll continue to improve on that as ESO comes out fully involved and implemented. So this is the fruit of some of that labor, that we do actually have a way to look at, in a digestible way, the data from CAD.
So no worries. So the pie chart page with all the numbers on, this is last year from July until December. Part of some of the feedback I received from the companies is it's hard to read. You can't really tell what's what, which is this one. It's hard to read. So what I tried to do this year is really gear it more towards what our countywide objective is, and change. So now every company, you'll see next quarter, you'll get one of these for the first quarter of the year. So every company will have a printout. Rather than you have to look at this and try to decipher what this is, you can quickly see how many fire calls they had, EMS calls they had, total calls, how many times they took a utility on a call. This is Chester Gap, so lists how many times they went into Warren County. Amosville's lists how many times they went into Culpeper County. It talks about how many times they had to fail to respond, EMS or fire. Gives you a percentage of the time they got out with a fire truck, percentage of the time they got out with an ambulance. Then it shows the two measures that we have, the county objective, 8 minutes and 25 minutes. And it shows their stations, and it compares that to what the countywide objective is for that quarter, at this point in January, this month overall, for that station, and system-wide.
Sean, can you send me a copy of that so I can put it in the minutes, please?
Here you go.
Oh,
I have it.
oh, okay.
Yep. One of the things we do, before it gets to this point, so today I received the CAD data from Lieutenant Jenkins. Over the next, usually 3 days, it'll take me to process all that data, put the formulas into the Excel spreadsheet, and format it, and then I'll sit down with Lieutenant Jenkins over probably another 3 days, and we'll go through each call. The computer flags calls such as anything over 5 minutes, we'll look at a fail to respond. And if a unit was placed in service, if they had crews in the station, that no longer becomes a failure to respond, it becomes a 0. So it doesn't count against the station. So we review each individual data point to make sure that the information we have is correct, and then we pass it out to the chiefs. From that point, we give the chiefs a week to provide feedback back. One of the points that we received this month in January from Sperryville was the CAD times were wrong. They were actually on the scene before the utility was, but for some reason the CAD data didn't catch up. So instead of saying 10:30 at night, it said 10:44 at night. So we changed those numbers, and that decreased their response to on-scene time. It may have been they were told to stage in the station, at which point in time we'll go back, look in CAD, and the CAD notes are all there. So we'll, again, change that away from a scratch them not getting out to a 0, so it doesn't count against the station. So we're trying to find ways to continually work with each department to make sure that we're accurately representing the data that comes out, and make sure that we have the best information available to make decisions and drive for the board and others. So if there's information you don't see, if there's something that's, wow, this is just too much, or if there's a better way to really present that data, please let me know. I've worked with Warren County and with Culpeper County on different opportunities of how to present the data. So I think the new format's a lot better than the old format, of course. But again, it's a lot to digest in one night. I'm not expecting you to sit and ask me questions. At any point in time, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask.
But just to be clear, this doesn't affect funding in any
No.
way whatsoever. This is really a way for us to gauge whether the volunteer system or the system we have is able to keep up with the demand of calls, and if it ever is not able to keep up, then we need to do something to fix that and provide supplemental services.
My takeaway just from the few conversations that you and I have had about the reporting is, in the beginning, when you started doing this, it was not something that people were happy with, because they didn't feel like they could trust the data. But it sounds like what you're saying today is there's a give and take happening between the stations and you, and the data is being verified, so the information that's in front of us, everybody's agreeing is accurate.
I think that there's always gonna be a give and take on the data. I don't think we're gonna 100% agree. There's some disagreement around about, if I don't get out in 5 minutes, does that really count as a failure to respond? It may take our crews longer to get to the station. So, but we needed a benchmark to start with. I spoke to Ms. Speaker, and she had said that, the 5-minute was the standard they used, and that's why I went with this. I initially, when I did it, it was 0, if you didn't get out, it was a scratch, or a failure to respond, excuse me. I quickly found out that was not the correct measure, which is fine. So I'm learning as I go through this process as well too, and I think we'll continue to refine this to provide the best information possible.
For the volunteers, if it's 2 a.m, you get out of bed and you drive to the station and you're put in service, that still meant something to you. But it may not show up the way you want on this report. And so those are some of the wild cards.
And I think one of the other things that's gonna help as well is the Board of Supervisors approved ESO fire module. So the state pays for the EHR module, which is the EMS reporting, and the Board of Supervisors supported the fire module, so now we have all reporting under one umbrella. So we'll be able to extrapolate the data and provide the best data back as well too. We're still working through that implementation process.
I think this is great. We've never had this kind of data before.
Questions?
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody that wishes to address the Public Safety Committee? Deputy Smiley, want to talk? Hearing nobody, I'm gonna close public comment. Roundtable discussion. Mr. Frazier, I'll start down there with you, sir.
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Sheriff?
I'll just say I hope Company 4 gets things together, and, it's important to have you guys on that end of the county. It affects a lot of people all the way around with that ambulance being shut down right now, so, I hope you guys are able to get that back up and running and pass your inspection, and a lot of people will be happy.
Mr. Nick?
I can only reiterate what see you guys succeed. I don't mean to sound so, as harsh as it probably comes across, but there comes a point in time when things does have to come to a stop. You should realize that. You know this has been going on for quite some time. The citizens of Flint Hill are the ones that are suffering. I realize you guys are hurting because you haven't gotten things done and hasn't been done in the proper fashion. But the citizens in Flint Hill are the ones that are really suffering. And what really bothers me the most is, and for the most part, most of us in this room can remember when Flint Hill was a drive and strive in the fire and rescue department. Back in the Kenny Thorne days and Charlotte and Buddy Turnbull days and all, and Frankie and Brucey and Frankie Huff and all that. You know, we remember those days. But I hope you get your ducks in a row and get the house in order and move forward, because once you do lose it, I think it'll be harder to get it back.
It should have never gone this far.
It should have never gone this
Let
far.
go this far.
It's ultimately the chief's responsibility, and you guys are just the very few EMTs that you have. It's the EMT's responsibility to put that report in. When you go out on a call and you come back, what's the first thing you do? If it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, you make sure you do it that afternoon when you get in from work. It's not waiting 2 or 3 months, so even if it's a lift assist or if it's a placement service, that call has to go in. You have learned that the hard way. Okay? Document, paperwork is more so, when this lady and I started in police work a long time ago, we had very little paperwork. Today, she can tell you how much she has.